Well, ho, 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 everyone, and welcome to another episode of Keeping Up with E-commerce. You know, we're 157 days away from Christmas, and whether you're celebrating Christmas or Hanukkah or Kwanzaa or any of the other wonderful December holidays, one thing is for certain, you're going to be doing some shopping between now and then, and that's what we're here to talk about today, is how e-commerce companies and retailers in general can prepare for the holiday season coming up in 2021. And of course, just like everything the last year and a half, it'll be different, it'll be unique. And as such, we brought in some great experts to help us prepare. I'm Dan Gingiss. I'm a customer experience speaker and coach. I'll be your host for today. And very excited to be here with a really cool group of people who are obviously in a very celebratory and festive mood today, as I hope you are as well. Let's start with Maria Moraes. She is from SAP CX. She is the global industry leader. How are you today, Maria?
Well, really fantastic. Thank you so much for having me. And Christmas can be any time during the year. We're ready for peak season.
I love it, and I love that you're even flashing. You got flashing lights going there. Very festive. Great to have you, Maria. And Maria is a return guest on Keeping Up with E-commerce for those that are paying attention and have viewed our previous episodes. Next up is Gabrielle Pistoric. She is a retail analyst for Finder. How are you, Gabrielle?
Hi, I'm great. Thank you. I'm excited to be here. Maria's lights are definitely getting everybody in the spirit, so excited to start talking about Christmas.
Well, I saw you before we went on, and I believe your sweatshirt it says something holiday related, although it's getting covered by your name. What does it say?
Happy holidays.
Oh, fantastic. Holidays. Yes,
holidays.
I love it. Great. Well, thank you so much for being here, Gabrielle. And Naeem Arif, he is the director at United Carpets and the chair of the Midlands Retail Forum. How are you, Naeem?
I'm very good, thank you. I'm all the way from England, where it's quite warm at the moment, so definitely not Christmas weather for us.
You guys are actually about 6 or 7 hours closer to Christmas than we are here in the United States. So you guys have even less time to prepare.
Yeah, but we probably finish Christmas 6 or 7 hours before you guys do as well.
That's
so
true.
we lose that feeling quicker as well.
You do. Real quick story. As it turns out, a unique fact about me is I actually was born on Christmas. I'm one of those Christmas babies. And I was, as a kid, I never liked that I could never have a birthday party anywhere near my birthday because everybody was always traveling out of town. There was no school. I've never been to school or work on my birthday ever, which is why I always feel badly for people that have to go to work on their birthday. So one year I asked my parents if I could have a half birthday party instead. And we all went out to Wrigley Field around this time of year, late June, early July. And I saw a baseball game, and I got to have a summer birthday for the first time, which was super fun. So it does seem a little strange to be talking about Christmas and the holiday season right now. But Naeem, I want to start with you. This timing is actually perfect, right? I mean, if anything, we got to get going if we're going to be ready for the holiday season, no?
Yeah, definitely. So about this time of the year, a lot of retailers and even hospitality businesses, they're already planning, the next half of the year. And particularly we call it the golden quarter, because in that part of the year, we can potentially earn 50-60% of our annual revenue. So it's a very busy time. Obviously, it's a bit tricky at the moment because we don't know what's going to happen, but I guess we'll hear more about that from the other panelists as well. But yeah, this is definitely a very busy time for retailers.
For sure. And I always have empathy because it must be so difficult to project out what's going to happen 6 months from now. I mean, who in the world knows what the hottest toy is going to be, or if we're going to continue to have supply chain problems or other types of things. So it's very difficult. We all, we got our crystal balls, but they're not always right. So Gabrielle, tell me a little bit about what you guys are doing and how you're preparing.
Sure. So our website is customer focused. So it's interesting, we're already seeing a lot of uptick in Christmas and July searches on Google. People are already looking for sales. Their minds are kind of already geared towards, what's going to be on sale. One of the biggest trends that we've noticed on the consumer side, really since the pandemic hit and it's continued upward, is an interest in buy now, pay later financing options. So we really think that's going to continue to be big for the holiday shopping season, especially, people's finances are a little bit crazier than usual with coming out of COVID. So definitely looking at that to continue to be a big trend.
Yeah, that's really interesting, especially with low interest rates. It's probably more affordable to be able to buy now and pay later than it has been in previous years. So that might be drawing it as well. Really interesting insight there. Maria, you work with lots of different companies, lots of different e-commerce companies. What are you seeing in terms of the prep that's going on right now, or what are people thinking about?
Well, I just wanted to follow up on Gabrielle's last comment on buy now, pay later before I respond to that question. So apparently 22% of Americans believe their Christmas spending will leave them in debt. So actually, that is a fantastic reason why actually buy now, pay later needs to even go beyond the online experience. We need to be able to offer this type of possibilities in the store as well. So now going back to your question, what we are doing to prepare, of course, that retailers now have a peak season that happens during the entire year. It's really difficult to forecast exactly what's going to happen during Christmas as opposed to the rest of the year, because the behavior is driven by the online consumer. So a digital first strategy is the way to support all of these different use cases. And we, of course, saw that with the pandemic, the acceleration of online shopping and segments that were never buying online before are now buying online. We all know this. We've discussed this over the past few months. So really the digital first approach for the store is the biggest type of preparation that a retailer can do in order to support all of the different use cases that are coming now and the expectations that consumers have at the moment.
Yeah, it is really interesting what you can buy online now. Pretty much anything, right? Even stuff that we always thought, car shopping, things like that we always thought needed to be in person, have moved online as well. Gabrielle, I want to come back to you because you mentioned something about searches. I'm wondering, can you talk at all about what can we learn from how people are searching now in July that might give us some hints as to what's going to happen in the holiday season?
Sure, absolutely. I would expect, if people are kind of searching big ticket items right now to see if they can save, I would imagine those same kind of searches that they want to save for even themselves will translate into Black Friday. Again, like you said, you can't ever know for sure. But last year, we certainly saw a lot of people not necessarily buying gifts, although obviously that was a big part of it. But trying to save on things that they've needed for their home, appliances, things like that, even paint last year, things that were kind of on short supply and high demand. So we might see a bit of that again this year as well.
So Naeem, the COVID has interrupted everything, right? And it's almost becoming cliche to say, okay, well, we're in a new reality. It's this new world that we live in. Talk to me about how this is going to be our second Christmas since COVID. I think if I got that right. Yeah. And hopefully it's a little bit different and better than last Christmas because things have started opening up. But what do companies have to be aware of or adapt to? Because hey, this pandemic is not entirely over, and certainly different parts of the world are having a lot more trouble with it than others.
Yeah, definitely. I think so. Now, normally, we've already talked about the fact that we'll be planning ahead for your Black Friday and your, Cyber Monday and all the other events. But I think the problem at the moment is, as a retailer, with such a problem with supply chains, container space not being available, shipping being problematic. From a retailer's point of view, some are very worried about what they can promise to customers. And then, that is very much perceived right now as is basically bad customer service. If you can't tell me when I'm going to get my product, are you not very good at your job? So there's a problem there and a challenge there. And I think now normally a lot of retailers would be thinking about stocking up for, if you just pick Black Friday, stocking up ready for Black Friday to have a doorbuster type sale with loads of people coming in to buy. Well, right now we need to probably be thinking about getting more of that stock in, thinking about maybe temporary storage space. And one of the other things that retailers have to do is, from a trading standards point of view, we need to be thinking right now what our point of price is, because when we're going to be selling something, say for today at £100 or $100, if we want to do that at a Black Friday discount at maybe $10, we need to be making sure we're thinking that far ahead. So, there's a lot going on. I think COVID has brought some great things out for people. And to Maria's point before, even the reluctant retailers we've seen have had to go online because otherwise they're going to go out of business. So it has had some really positive things, but certainly it's not all negative. It's just a case of trying to prepare for all those things. We can't guess what happen, really.
Yeah, and I love that you mentioned customer service because, look, supply chain issues are affecting every industry, but let's be candid. Customers don't care. It's not their problem, right? They want their product when they order it. They expect it to show up at their doorstep, and they expect that you as the retailer are going to figure out how to get it to them, right? And so we got to be careful with not giving excuses, but also communicating and setting the right expectations for people so that we don't disappoint them.
Yeah, very quickly, just on that. I mean, how long we've been in the pandemic? We've been here a while. It's not going to go away anytime soon. We've got to evolve also as service providers. You know, we can't keep saying to our customers, "Oh, it's because of COVID." We have to also evolve. So yeah, we have to move with the times.
For sure. Maria, I want to talk a little bit more about Black Friday. You know, when I was in corporate America, one of the things that was a struggle with Black Friday is everybody is marketing Black Friday sales. So you almost feel like, you know, you want to create Blue Thursday or something just so you can market some other time. How do e-commerce companies and other retailers, how do you stand out from the ridiculous crowd during Cyber Monday and Black Friday when our email inboxes are just filled up with every company we've ever done business with?
Well, I mean, there's a few different points I think we need to analyze here. First, how important it is for retailers to actually be selling only when they are doing markdown of their pricing. Yeah. So in some segments, this is extremely complicated because the margins are not that big already, and therefore to squeeze margins and to have a consumer behavior and train consumers to be buying only when the price is marked down it's really not in the best interest of retailers. But that said, there's more than $400 billion every year in leftovers of products that end up in landfill or not being consumed at all. So if there is an intelligence allocation of product, not just within the chain of the retailer, but also through a business ecosystem, and start to communicate with other parties that can either resell stock that was not sold, or even in terms of the wholesale operation that retailers are driving, some ways to not be the ones taking all the risk. If there are business models that enable retailers to have more of an extended product life cycle, let's say, and the ability to get rid of that extra stock during other points of the year, then marking down may make sense. But at the end of the day, it's all about what are we training customers to think about when they think about shopping. They are waiting for that moment. They are waiting. That's why we see a peak. But is that healthy moving forward for the industry? I mean, in the fashion sector, there has been, numerous conversations about that, and trying to create some a consortium of a point of view and opinion to not drive that type of behavior. But the reality is that's what we are living. But now that every day is a Black Friday day online, how do we go from here? So I think it's a very interesting conversation.
Well, you also have a bunch of stores like a Marshall's or a TJ Maxx or something where that's kind of what they're selling, is that you can come in and you can get discounted clothing, but brand names, and they're doing it all year round. And so now you're sort of competing with that as well, because you've got to either be selling something different or be selling it in a better way. And so, and plus you've got, certainly in the United States, the proliferation of dollar stores and, Five Below and all these places where you can go and buy stuff that is much less expensive. And we know, especially during a pandemic or during a recession, that those stores tend to be really popular. So I'm wondering, Gabrielle, how do we stand out again in that way from sort of a different crowd? How do we make sure that what we're doing in the holiday season really is differentiated and unique?
Yeah, I think those are great points that Maria brought up. I think one thing that kind of goes hand in hand with what she was saying on the life cycle of a product is a lot of consumers are now concerned about sustainability, and a retailer that can offer a product that's more sustainable than another, or even we saw a trend start to pick up last year on gifts that give back. So retailers that for every, I think Bombas did one for every pair of socks you buy, one's donated. A lot of different companies we're seeing do the same trend. So I think if a company can offer some sort of something in sustainability, charity, recycling, anything like that, consumers are kind of picking up on that. Even if that sometimes means the product is going to cost a little bit more, I think consumers are willing to some extent to pay a little bit more if they know kind of where this extra money is going.
Yeah, you make a great point. There's lots of ways that consumers can feel good about their purchase, and price is not always the only way, right? I mean, yeah, we feel good when we get a deal. Everybody does. But there's lots of other ways that people can feel good about a purchase, and having a sustainable purchase or having a company that believes in sustainability is definitely one way that especially I think the millennial and Gen Z generations really care about. And then they've started to convince some old fogies like me and Gen X that this is true as well, and something that I start to look out for as well. So I think that's a really good point. I want to start looking a little bit longer term here. So, obviously, if we're talking about Christmas in July, then that means in 2 or 3 months, we're already going to be talking about 2022 and what's coming next. And so I'm wondering, I'm going to open up the floor, and certainly you all can answer, just not all at once, if that's okay. But I'm wondering if we could have maybe some thoughts / predictions about what we're going to be talking about post-Christmas season. Who wants to jump in?
Well, I'd say, just following on from Gabrielle's point, for me, the one thing that will always be the point of difference is that service and that experience. And I think right now, the only resource that your customers and our customers are short on is time. And I really think people will pay a little bit more for having it on a plate to them. So that's an English term, which basically means it's very easy for me to do business. I really think that's the way to go. To answer your question, the thing I'm very interested in seeing is what happens when in England, the furlough's about to end soon. People are consolidating office space, not going back to the city centres, the town centres. I'm really interested to see what happens there, because we've been talking about over on this side of the pond for about 3 years now, since Macy's and Toys R Us started downsizing. We've been talking about the future of the high street. I really think this is another nail, unfortunately, in the future of the physical high street, with more people working from home. So I'm really looking forward to see what happens with that. I think that's the interesting thing that I want to see next year.
Yeah, just to build on that, and then we'll get to Maria or Gabrielle. I like to say that competing on price is a loser's game, because it's a race to the bottom, and competing on product is getting more and more difficult because everybody sells the same stuff, right? And even the most innovative companies in the world generally eventually get copied. And so what's left is competing on experience. And I do think that the thing that has me holding out hope for physical retail is that there is still something about walking into a store, being greeted by an employee, touching and feeling the merchandise before you buy it, getting real-time advice on what I might like to purchase versus an algorithm telling me what other people purchased and what I should purchase next. And I think that the retailers that figure out how to capitalize on that in-person live experience, those are the ones that are going to be able to survive, because ultimately, hey, I'm as big an Amazon fan as you can find, but there are certain things Amazon can't do. And one of them is show up at my corner, at least not yet, show up at my corner retailer, and be that local community member that owns that shop that can talk me through a purchase. And I think that is still going to be really valuable to people going forward. Maria, Gabrielle, future predictions?
I kind of wanted to touch on what you were just talking about, Dan, because we're also seeing a huge trend here in America in made in USA goods. Many customers have kind of given us feedback that they're looking for made in America products. They want to shop local. They want to kind of bolster their communities. So in that sense, where we are seeing this huge online boost, we are kind of, I think, starting to see another boom in people are looking for handmade goods. They want to support, they want to see the face of the person that that they're supporting, that, this is helping this particular family and this community. So I do kind of think, as much as we are seeing the online trend, we are also going to see this kind of uptick in local shops, local community support, things like that.
Yeah, it's another really great trend that you've identified there. When I worked at Discover for almost 10 years, all of their customer service agents are based in the US. And so one of the things Discover tries to compete on customer service. And one of the things they do is they have each agent answer the phone with the city that they're in. So, hi, it's, thanks for calling Discover. This is Dan from Chicago. And what was remarkable to me is how often the very next words out of the customer's mouth were either about the weather or about the last time they visited that place, or frankly, just being, really candid. Oh, I'm so glad I'm talking to somebody in the United States. And this isn't just a US thing. I think this is sort of a country patriotism thing that could be applied elsewhere as well. Naeem, you can tell me if it's there in the UK as well. Yeah. But I think that it is really important, and it's a really interesting angle. You may not every product you sell might be made in the US or made in the UK, but I think highlighting the ones that are can definitely be a good strategy. Maria, how about you? Future.
Yeah.
Ball.
My crystal ball at the moment is looking at two technologies that I think we will see a lot of innovations coming soon. So one, augmented reality. So applications have been on the rise with try before you buy type of use cases. So experiences in IKEA, Home Depot are going towards that trend. So I think we'll see more of that. The important here then is, of course, the consent from customer for all of the data you need to collect in order to be able to provide this type of experiences as well. So that takes me to the second one. So just a little story here. Do you know that 46% of people tend to lie about liking a present that they received during Christmas? So I think the question here is AI learning with lies? How are we getting back the reverse logistics to get machine to learn that a certain item that someone chose as a present, which is already so difficult to understand from a context point of view, then understanding if that product was returned or, and sometimes because, of course, family don't want to hurt feelings from the ones, they just keep the thing that they don't like at all. But if there was like an experience that retailers could provide in order to make that change something simple and not hurting the feelings of someone that gave that present in the first place, maybe there's an opportunity here.
I love that. And really, Maria, I did really love those orange parachute pants that you sent me. They were really cool. I wear them all the time. Believe me, I do. I love them. Well, hey, this has been such a fascinating conversation. I think each one of you have really brought out some interesting trends that I think we've all got to be aware of. And frankly, whether you're in e-commerce or you're a physical retailer or really any other kind of business, maybe you're just watching the show because you're interested in some business knowledge that's really been dropped here. These are all things that we've got to be paying attention to. And I would argue they're all related to customer experience. You can always bring things back to CX, whether it's sustainability or supply chain or made in the USA or augmented reality. All of that stuff is involved in what it's like to do business with you as a company. And I think paying attention to each one of those spots is really the way that you can stand out. Don't be afraid to be you. Right? You're not going to out Amazon. They're good at what they do because they're good at what they do. But trying to copy them is not the right answer. It's about uniqueness. It's about showing what you can do that makes it worth buying from you. And I think that one of the things we've definitely learned today is, hey, it's July. We're 157 days away from Christmas. You got to get on it, or you got to start focusing on Christmas 22 because you're going to miss the boat. So hopefully you've got some great ideas that you can get running with. And we wish you a very early, happy holiday season. We wish you the best of luck in making it a very successful and profitable holiday season. Maria, Gabrielle, Naeem, thank you so much. Naeem, thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it. I'm Dan Gingiss, customer experience speaker and coach. We'll see you next week on Keeping Up with E-commerce.